welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another recap review of the hit MGM Plus show Godfather of Harlem. We are here on episode 5. I know I said I'm gonna keep on naming all these episodes since they just say episode 5. Concrete Who. There you go. That's what we're gonna name this episode. It's here. I'm here, Lucas, with my guy named Gier. What is going on this evening, sir?
It's not what I would have called this episode.
Hey, look. Hey, you got to hit to a title that doesn't say much about whatever happens in the episode.
Yeah. Because if after watching it, you would have said, "Oh, poor Joe. Joe just wants friends at this rate. He's sad that he can't make money with Bumpy, and he's so racist, so he doesn't like black people, so he doesn't black friends, and Stella really doesn't like him. He's just jealous right now. Poor Joe."
Hey, one positive is I finally learned the name of Stella's second in command this episode, which is amazing that it took 5 episodes to get to the point of even knowing this man's name. But let's start off the episode as it starts with Frank going to see Joe, asking for work. This is something that, it makes no sense that Frank would actually do this, but this is something of a pattern of his of doing. And here is where Joe gives him an assignment that he's questionable about, and that is he notices that Bumpy is using a different concrete man that is not Joe's to help build his project. So he sends Frank to, hey, go threaten the guy and see what happens, and let him know that if you don't move my concrete,
tariff.
I'm going to charge you $1,000
tariff.
For it.
It's a tariff. That's all it is. Put a tariff on this guy. Period. That's it. 100% tariff on this guy.
Not Colombo Trump. Saying, you know what? It's going to be good for business. We're going to make Harlem great again with this one right here.
Yeah.
But what did you just think about Frank having the balls to even go to Joe in this situation to ask for a job, and then his reaction to the job that Joe had for him?
Yeah, he didn't have the balls. He's desperate. And you know what's crazy? As the once great R&B legend, redacted, who's serving a significant time in jail right now, would have said the power of the PUSSY, because this guy went into uncharted territory to get a job because he wanted to buy his girl a Birkin. That's all it is. And Joe was like, yeah, you know what? I get it, because I'll be wanting to buy Stella stuff. So all right, I got a job for you. So, yeah, Joe's aside, there was no logic in this. This was completely motivated, slightly motivated by his girl, but completely motivated by ego, that he has no situational awareness. And the only bit of fairness I'll give him in terms of trying to rationale why he thinks this is even an opportunity that he could leverage here is maybe down south. And I'm not saying Jim Crow South was better, but Jim Crow South was black versus white. Maybe in this situation where he says, well, these guys aren't really white, and they're in the same profession as us, like maybe we could put things to the side and work something out. So if anybody thinks the way Joe is thinking, then you instantly go over to what's happening with Stella and Bumpy and what's his name, where it's very clear. And even in reflection back to Joe, when they have the conversation that no, they don't like black people, there is not a working opportunity. This is not good. So thinking ahead, I mean, and again, we all know where this story eventually goes. It's going to be interesting to see when Frank finally comes to terms that you're black, you're always going to be black, and it's always going to be them against you all, which is why this next scene is so important. Really so important. So I think it is that. And so this now has really been about Frank coming to really, I would say, coming full circle in terms of to the man we know him to become, understanding the landscape of the world, the politics, the dynamics, the power players, how to move, how not to move. I mean, that's why he has to get all of this out of his blood right now for him to be the force that we know him to be. So this was nothing but, I wouldn't even say a trial and error, but in retrospect, he could look back and say, or even us as the fans and the viewers can say, in retrospect, yeah, he had to make some of these dumb decisions or some of these moves that he thought were power moves that were absolutely not, to really understand how he's going to have to move going forward. And then it also shows you too how powerful of a person Bumpy is, because none of these clauses apply to him. He can do that. He can walk into. He can call a meeting with the families because he holds all the cards. So yeah, it's just really interesting to see really like the difference between folks and the positions of folks at this time.
So next up, we get the scene between Frank and Earl, because of course the guy who lays concrete, his name is Earl. So Earl here, as Frank lists Joe's demands, we see Earl do what Bumpy normally does, which is, I'm not doing any of that. Matter of fact, tell him I'm going to charge him for every time I deliver to Bumpy.
He Canada and Mexico did back. He said,
exactly.
Oh, really? Putting the tariff or China for sure. It was like, 120% tariff here.
So in this situation, we see with Earl being defiant, Frank feels he has no other option as he tries to boss up on Earl, and Earl ends up grabbing him, choking him to let him know, I fought for this country. I did everything for this country. The last thing I'm going to do is let you or anybody else shake me down. And this leads to Frank killing Earl. And then later on in the following scene, Earl's body being discovered by Adele, Nate, and the crew in his own cement truck. What did you just think about Frank going to this extreme when the shakedown didn't work? And then after going to that extreme, to place this guy's body in his cement trunk.
I mean, there's a lot to make here. Guy and Earl, as a vet, prideful, and there was a lot of veterans prideful of their work and service in the military, because that's all they had. And even though the military didn't service them back, these were folks that, and let's just be honest, Black people won wars, right in the very front of it. And as he said, like, you think after all of that, I'm coming back home and all of a sudden I'm supposed to be scared. So there's old man strength. And Frank was going to get got if he didn't get him. So in a way, it's kind of like, it's a sad story per se, but it's kind of like Frank had to do it because he was 100% going to either get a nice normal fatality or a little bit of PTSD, which could have made it exactly what happened to him back to Frank. So, and whether you think I'm reaching or not, I think it's a testament to what everything that Dale and Chance was saying was that that's a real man's, you're not touching up on him. And so it's kind of crazy that they kind of ate their words right after that. But again, it just shows you that, and it is cool that they was able to really put process of elimination to it pretty quickly in terms of who was involved. It was 100% Joe by way of Frank. But nonetheless, that's what Harlem was back in the day. When people died and the violence on the streets, nothing of it was normal. You'll see somebody get shot in a car with 50 bullets in them. You're like, well, what happened here? So I don't think Frank had the wherewithal to try to make it look like a mob hit, because that is 100% a mob hit. But I think it was a sense of flex to show that, he's a muscle out here, and he had to do it in a way that wasn't just a choke out or a stab, because dude could have been dead with a couple of stabs. A few more stabs, he could have been dead. So putting him inside the truck blender and the cement truck and spitting him out in his own place, that's a power move to show that he's a new muscle on the field. So it had all these things had to happen the way they did, and I think it's going to play down the line in terms of, again, really establishing who we know Frank to be, but for us, the journey and all the steps it took to get to the icon we know as Frank Lucas.
Hey, look here. If you've ever had your chin and the back of your neck grabbed by an old man,
it's a wrap.
Just understand, he about to do to you. You are not going to survive. Frank had one option there. You was either going to stab him or he was going to snap your neck. It was going to be one or the other. But in the following scene, we get to see Frank understand the hierarchy all over again as he goes to Joe, collects his money, and this is where Joe says, "Hey, I like what you did. Come and work for me." And Frank turns down the opportunity only for Joe to turn back around and say, "If our businesses ever come to a head and it does not align up, I'm going to kill you." This here just, again, it helps Frank understand the hierarchy of where he's at here. Just, I know you touched on it in your last comment about Frank not fully understanding the difference here and thinking maybe in the country because we are all in the same business, it'll be fine. But here, Joe kind of puts it online, let him know, like, no, in the end, you're still beneath me, and I still kill you because if you ever step out of line with me, it's going to be over. Following up, we get to see someone that I brought up last episode because I'm like, okay, Elise can't keep on moving on from everybody else. Like,
I can't believe we went back. I did not think we were going to get another scene of them, but continue.
But here we get Elise as she visits Omar in jail. And I want to say here is Omar's realization that I'm never getting out. As he goes forth to tell Elise, hey, one, I'm safe in here because this is her first time being there since he was stabbed. And he's like, no, because of Bumpy, I'm the safest person ever in this prison. No one's going to bother me. But I need you to not come back here again. It's just to see you, I realize I'm stuck in here. It's the old trope of I can't have you coming to see me every day and reminding me of the outside world.
Okay.
And we see just how hurt Elise is by him.
You can spin it that way all you want. Omar said, "That pussy not mine. I ain't trying to see it." That's it. The moment she gave up on Allah and Omar, that was it. He said, "Stop coming to see me if you ain't gonna throw
the afro."
Throw them legs.
When she came in with the afro, he was like, "Nope."
He already knew she'd been spending the night at somebody else's house, and he was just like, "You know what? Don't come through here no more. Are we good? We good? Because if it ain't mine, you don't need to be here. Don't be trying to friend zone me. If I ain't getting it, hey, get out of here."
Like last time you came here, your head was covered. You come back this time, you got a full fro. Like, yeah. But again, she also tells her that she is with the Panthers here after everything. And again, he gives her positive reinforcement, like, hey, I'm happy this is what you want to do. But you got to keep in mind, like, I'm going to be here. And at this point, I'm content on being here. It's not their conversation that's important here. It's that we know this story of Malcolm and Malcolm's supposed killers and how they did have to give up and isolate themselves just to be able to survive, knowing that they didn't kill their leader, but they were still blamed for it. What do you think about Omar's mindset here? I know we joke about like, you're not mine no more, but this is way more to deal with. Like, I'm in here for something I didn't do, and I have to adjust myself to knowing I'm going to be here for the rest of my life.
Correct. That's it. I mean, that's literally it. One, I didn't think we would get any bit of closing statement from Omar. I thought the character was done. But you're right. Historically, it does set the tone in terms of what was the mindset of the accused and, what did their life look like going forward. I would also really quickly add, too, that it also shows you the reach of the Panthers because I don't know if they had television in jail back then, but I would say if they didn't, but to hear the reputation about them in jail speaks volumes. And he was of positive. He was fond of them, shall I say, because let's not forget when the extreme Muslims and what they were doing and what he was sort of a part of, once he's really started to understand, the contradictions within the faith, he wanted to get out. Now there's been talk about what actually the Black Panthers stand for, and he seems to be on the positive side of things, which is interesting because I also think that little tidbit put the battery in Elise back, and that's why she's talking the way she's talking later on that episode. I think if there had been any bit of, hesitation. She might not have been so forward with like, well, we need to act with violence.
Exactly.
And I know they want to say like because she's Bumpy's daughter, but
no, because she's never been that way before.
Thank you.
Even being Bumpy's daughter, she's never been that way before.
Yeah.
But next up, we have Dale and Nate as they go to tell Bumpy that Earl was killed and they believe Joe did it. Again, this is the whole setup of, okay, how do we work this out? As they tell Bumpy, hey, or they come up with, we got another concrete guy we can use that is black. And that's the way Bumpy wants to go. But here is Dale again, being the ultimate friend to Bumpy and telling Bumpy, if we keep on going down this road, it's going to lead to nothing but more people being killed because we can't keep on cutting Italians out of this deal and cutting Joe out and thinking we're going to be safe.
And what do you think? And to the point that he said, white people have their hands in everything. That's just what it is. And if you think for whatever reason you're going to be able to do something without it, then you're mistakenly wrong. You know that wasn't going to sit right with Bumpy.
But what do you think about the point that Bumpy still, even when Dale says things he does not like, that he still listens at least?
They're boys. I mean, agree. Yeah, we said
but
it last
he still
week.
Listens.
There is a mass amount of respect here for Dale, which by the end of the episode, I'll definitely have more to say. But there is a massive amount of respect he has for him, and I love it. And that's why, like, when I had a chance to interview them, that's why I said, like, well, how in the world do we get to the point that Frank Lucas jumps over the two of them plus Junie Bird and becomes second in command to ultimately just the man? And whether you want to say he was just the driver or whatever your take on what Frank Lucas' relationship was, when Bumpy was down, Frank was up. And it's just interesting to see, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how this story and this dramatization of this story, how it gets to that point. But yeah, I mean, let's look at it now. When you think about who's next person up, who's going to be the next heir to the throne, it's without a doubt him. He is the person that has Bumpy's ear. They have each other's respect. He knows the business. I think he even something we'll talk about in another bit too, but I think when it comes down to the plans, he's able to assess which ones make sense, which ones doesn't. And you know, I think he also has just a good head on his shoulders about everything. He doesn't shoot first, think later. So Bumpy has no choice but to respect. That's a real man's man right there. Yeah. So I love these moments that we get to see them have that, and either one of them look weak. They look like boys, and I think that in any other era, they would 1,000% dap each other afterwards and be like, "Yeah, you're right, bro. You're right. Yeah, I feel you." What did they do back in that time period when you had to acknowledge that your boy was right? Did they just not? You didn't tell them.
They still dapped each other up. It was just a 70s dap. Man, you know, there's a lot of hand movements in the 70s.
Yeah, but like, I don't feel like there was a measure of saying like, "Oh, you right," and give them their props. I think it's one of the ones where you curse yourself out later, like, damn, that motherfucker was right. And you just act like it never happened. That's why those old men are so fucking stubborn. Your uncles and stuff in the world, stubborn as hell.
in the end, while they are boys, but it's still a hierarchy. So Bumpy ain't gonna never tell me right.
Maybe, but stubborn as hell. I was stubborn as hell.
That's why they're stubborn. Bumpy like, yeah, I ain't gonna tell this nigga he right, but he right.
Hey, right. Somebody let us know in the chat. Your uncle that's in the 60s or above, has he ever been wrong in life? And if he has he ever acknowledged it?
This how you can tell when they acknowledge it, because they'll do some slick shit, be like, all right, I'm gonna tell this idea to somebody else and make it sound like it's me.
I've been thinking, right? I think I am going to. You be like, I told you that. What are we talking about?
I told you what to do. Don't try to act like you came up with this out of the blue.
Yeah.
That's the best way to put it.
I love it. And honestly, if this wasn't sort of a dramatization of history, it's really something that I wish we could spend so much more time on, is seeing them really as well. Even to the point you start to wonder, like, you know, what was what were some of the moments that like didn't kind of add to the story, but like moments that they had with one another? Like, what did it look like when they went out and kicked it as boys, you know?
Exactly. Next up, we get another round of putting Frank Lucas in his place. Next, we get him to meet, and he meet with Stella and Pino. Ooh, this is why I'm proud that I finally learned this man's name here. And here, Stella lets Frank know, I know you're the person who took out the concrete guy. And I know you're working with Joe. If I have to find out secondhand you're doing anything else of this nature again,
Stella said, if I find out news on Black Planet one more time, it's gonna be a problem. I'm tired of getting messages.
Nah, that's what I'm doing. If I find out that I'm not in your top 5 on my face one more time. But what did you think about here? This is Stella bossing up. This is Stella realizing that I can't be perceived as being soft just because I'm a woman. It's even hinted towards here in the conversation with her, Frank, and Pino, and bringing up like, is it because I'm a woman that you think like this would be okay? And her detailing like Pino will probably cut your balls off and feed them to you.
Yeah,
I'm just going to kill you.
Yeah,
to send that message to you. What do you think about here? Because it's not much about Frank. This is way more, I feel, of Stella sending a message to Pino that I'm not soft just because I'm a woman. And I'm willing to kill whoever I feel is disrespectful towards me.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about last week. I mean, you got to respect Stella. She's holding it down. And I think Frank respects her at the end of the episode. And it is, you know, a lot about her blood, but also at the same time, too, she's getting it done. I think that, you know, if she's going to defy all of the sexism in the world, then she has to always keep her head up and call the shots and the threats and the show of force. She has to. And I believe her. I don't think there's nothing about her who wants to torture anybody, but she does understand if you have to come off the board, you have to come off the board, because as much as she didn't like what Bumpy says later on the episode with the comparison to her dad, well, your dad was in that position for a reason, and he was successful for a reason. They made a lot of money for a reason. So you're going to have to tuck your ego and you're going to have to follow suit, which I think she does kind of say like, well, you know, we do make more money with you. So, okay, we can do something. So just to the point that Stella is not just playing the part right now. She is the part. She is absolutely the boss. She has stepped into Chin's shoes. She hasn't filled them, but she stepped into her shoes. And I think she's going to do a good job. Now, when Chin returns, it will be interesting to see how that turns about now, because she doesn't look like she's waiting to take a backseat to anybody,
to nobody
anytime soon.
Point. Yeah.
And just to be clear, when Chin and Joe had the situation, because Joe was a villain at a point.
Yep.
And when Chin came back, well, Joe didn't just kind of bow out. It was a war. So what does this look like? You know, we'll see.
Next up in meetings galore, because this is all meetings here, as Bumpy here goes to visit Joe to let Joe know that 1, I'm still not partnering with you. 2, I'm trying to be as fair as humanly possible. But in the end, this is Bumpy sending a message to Joe that if you continue to go down this path with me, this will start a war between us, because I'm not willing to back down. As Joe lets it be known again to Bumpy, I want in on the deal. I don't think it's much to discuss, just because this is something that they've said repeatedly at this point to one another.
Oh, Joe,
threat after threat after threat.
Yeah, Joe just wants $1, man. He wants friends.
There you go. And next up, in someone wanting friends, we have Mayme and the racist as she meets the art board again. And this is just about having a reading involving
Can't wait to make my comment about this one later. Ooh, I can't wait.
And look here, it was tea. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, you make tea racist, but at this point, this is just them meeting and saying they want something of the real Harlem, the ghetto, for James to speak about. And here's Mayme just reassuring them that he's come up with a new piece and that they'll love it. Just going to ask this question here. How racist do they have to be before Mayme just decide this ain't for me?
It's damn near. It should be damn near enough at this rate. But I guess we'll see next episode because enough is enough at this rate. But I got thoughts later.
All I'm asking is, did you ever think they would make T racist?
Yeah, they could
Because
make
the
everything
point that
racist.
the point she acted like Mayme would not know what something as simple as T was. Just proves just the way they see white people in general here. But next up, and again, meetings galore. But this is possibly the most interesting one, as this is Elise and Bumpy as they sit and talk about her being part of the Panthers. And here is just Elise allowing Bumpy to understand, like, this was Malcolm's next step. That's why I'm with them. They're here fighting for Black people, trying to make the world better for us. And here Bumpy lets her know, my issue's not with you joining them. It's out of fear of what could happen to you. And they have an amazing father-daughter moment before Bumpy says, if you stick with the Panthers, you are no longer invited in this house. And Elise being perfectly fine with that. Just what do you think about this disagreement in a way between Bumpy and Elise about how to go about helping Black people? Because that's the most important part here. But I also feel this is Bumpy feeling that she's not giving him the credit also of what he's doing for Black people.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Well, a little part of me was just kind of like, parents are always so quick to kick their kids out for anything. Not saying Elise is right here, but Bumpy needs control, but also he wants to protect his daughter. But I think there must be a measure of understanding on both ends, and Elise is very much. And I saw a comment last week about how addicts and their attachment behavior. So just follow suit in terms of always happen to be involved or be a part of something to kind of keep her going. But I think it's just it's maybe it's a revolving sort of pattern between the two of them to kind of get perspective on their situations and then understanding come later. So I didn't think much of it besides just the idea that players always trying to get their kids out for any and everything.
I mean, when the daughter was drug addicted and had a baby that I'm now taking care of, you're no longer a kid. You're a grown ass woman in my house.
Yeah.
And you know how Black parents are. You will follow my rules or you will leave. But next up, we have Elise as she goes to the Panthers headquarters and she asks Sadiq, can she stay there for a while? But the key part of this is them talking about possibly escalating violence against the police to send the next message here. It's not much here to talk about at this level because we'll get back to it much later on when we see exactly what happens.
Yeah, only thing I want to say was that, like, it was much like I said last week, like her kind of leaving the way she left, it did bring suspicion or maybe a sense of doubt over her to them because they wasn't sure was she really down. But Afeni does say later, she was the same way, but you do have to be in if you're going to be in. But it was brought up. He's like, hey, didn't think he was going to come back. Kind of stepped off in a matter that maybe think you wasn't totally sure. So,
yeah. Next up, we just get a simple conversation of the deal with the new concrete guy between Dale, Nate. I mean, his worries are addressed, but it's not much here to talk about because that's going to be talked about later on in the episode.
Elise should have said to Obi, but you stepped off from normal, didn't you? I don't hear you talking about that. you kind of left that in the hurry, didn't you?
He can't talk about it because we saw what happened when he stepped off from Noma.
Yeah, that's true.
Next up, we get Bumpy and Mayme as they talk about Elise and about Bumpy kicking Elise out. What I loved about this conversation is that Mayme was bluntly honest with Bumpy and saying, one, do you think she's safer here or not from here? And why do you think this is protecting Margaret? She's already seen the way the world is. Nothing here surprising. What makes this such an interesting conversation is because Bumpy still does not know what happened at Margaret's school. So this is a way of Mayme bringing it up without telling him at all what happened at the school. And then we get the ambiguous homosexual joke that I absolutely love of Bumpy saying, "What are you dressed up for? To see James? Because you're barking up the wrong tree if that's the case." Just what do you think about Mayme here attempting to have Bumpy understand that while you may disagree with Elise, she's not going to be any safer. Margaret's not going. You can't shield them away from the rest of the world.
Yeah, so she gonna fight for something, die for something than to die for nothing. Whatever the saying is, but yes, that's essentially what it's trying to say.
Fight for something instead of dying for nothing.
Yeah. So, what you got to say back to that, Mr. Bumpy Johnson? That's when the wife comes in to speak, you gotta listen in. So that's all that was. Her giving the perspective of both sides of this here.
Yes, and next up we're gonna run through a couple of these things because these are big things to talk about. But next up we get Nell and Date as they steal the concrete trucks. This is a setup in motion, exactly how they plan on moving this concrete without the Italians fully understanding everybody else that's invested. Then we get Mayme meeting up with James, and this is them having a conversation about exactly what needs to take place at the art board and how Mayme needs James to tame down his normal rhetoric to make it more appeasing to white people. And again, the only part of this that's interesting is that James fully understands what Mayme's point is, even if he fully disagrees with it. As he says in the end, like, you are very persuasive, exactly what you're getting at here. And that's just Mayme letting them know, like, eventually we're gonna have to appease white people. It's literally the exact same message that Dale has been sending to Bumpy of understanding we can't always be independent and on our own. That's not the way this works. Yeah. And finally, in this full stretch here, we get Elise as she's attempting to leave Panther's HQ in the middle of the night. And she sits and has this conversation with Afeni. And this conversation is about you can't be 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Yeah. If you're going to be about this, you got to be fully about this and understand we're going to be here for you if that's what you decide to do. Yeah. But trying to live between both worlds will always leave a problem for you. So in general, I only want to focus on the conversation between Elise and Afeni because that's the most important part here. Because this is some stern advice that we've not had someone give Elise throughout everything else that she's joined in. Malcolm let Elise just do what she wanted to do. Afeni's letting her know here we don't have that option. This is not that type of organization. Yeah. And this is still a very heartfelt moment between the two. Just what do you think about this one?
I mean, she 100% is about that life. She's an icon that deserves every bit of respect that we've been talking about. The Bumpy Johnsons, the Frank Lucases of the world. So she's speaking in she's speaking as a personal testimony. Like I've been about this. This is the got me to where I'm at now. Afeni is completely fearless. She is a titan amongst activists out there, a woman that was well respected in the Black Panthers. When you speak about the Huey Newtons and my God, why is his name slipping out of my head? But you have to put her name in that conversation as well. Some of the iconic Black Panthers in the work that they've done. So one, in a way, and I say all that to say because if LeBron James was to say, here's how I became successful in the NBA, you might want to listen. It's just that. If you are going to enter this, if you're 100% going to be about this, let me tell you a thing or two. So I thought it was a moment that I wish the episode sort of grandstanded it a little bit more, but for what it's worth, like you have to respect, like this is a completely pivotal moment in what her pursuit of being a Black Panther is, getting knowledge and understanding and garnering tutelage from one of the most iconics to ever be a part of the organization. So it was really cool, and dramatization for sure, because I'm pretty sure like if Elise did and became a force, we would know. There would have been a fourth name in amongst the group of folks. who you know synonymous with the Black Panthers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, technically, Bumpy's daughter is talked about a lot in history. We've not got to the elements of it of why she's talked a lot about in history, but she's definitely mentioned a lot. But it threw me off when you said LeBron, because I was expecting you to bring up the point that my man reads one page of a book and tell everybody he read the whole novel. Like it just threw me off completely. That was discussion of LeBron James. And I think you're talking about Fred Hampton. When you talk about the other leader of the Black Panther Party, because they kind of bring him up a couple of episodes ago. Next up, we get Nate, Dell, and Junior as they're up here painting the trucks, just again to disguise exactly who's moving the concrete. But here's Bumpy telling them, "You all will not be doing any form of the driving here. I have a different plan for that." And again, we get another conversation between Dale and Bumpy, and this is Dale letting Bumpy understand perception is something that you do worry about. And while it may not matter, we still have to worry about the perception of exactly what's going on. And again, this is just Dale being Dale at this point with Bumpy and letting Bumpy understand exactly the way everyone else sees the way things are moving around here. Next up, we get Stella and Bumpy meeting about the drivers. This is the deal that they strike because, again, this is just Bumpy letting Stella know, me and your dad made lots of money. Me and your dad were cool with business. We understand what business means here. This will also hurt Joe if we make this deal. What do you think about this conversation? Because this is, again, another one that involves Pino and his overt racism towards anybody that's Black here. But that Stella decided to override him and make this deal with Bumpy.
Yeah. Also, I forgot if this is the part where he makes the comment about Joe not liking Black people, but also the comment about women. And
this is the one where Stella looks over her shoulder and say, "Is this because I'm a woman?"
Yeah. So I mean, and again, even in her position, she always understands that there's somebody looking over. It just means to look over her shoulder. Somebody's always looking. I'm not watching her back because that's not what's happening. But somebody's always looking at and for her. I mean, it's the truth. Her and her father made money, and I said it before. She has to come to the realization that like it is about the money, and that's why your dad was where he was at, because of the deals that he made. And not saying you have to follow suit, but you have to understand business is business. You got to put all the other things aside. As a matter of fact, as much as you may want to even consider prejudice and racism, which we know she's not. She's for the Blacks. You know, she got her NAACP membership and her Black Panic page, and she dated a Black person, so she gets to put that on her resume. And she also cried when the Black person died, so she also gets to put that one on her resume.
Yeah, keep in mind, she also helped a Black person.
That's true.
Get back to Harlem.
These are all true. So she's an ally.
If we look at history and we look at history properly, did Stella start the civil rights movement? Because at this point, I mean, how could we say she didn't?
I actually did see a picture of her down in Montgomery, Alabama. Actually,
did she walk across? Was Stella walking across that bridge?
Salem?
I mean, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it here. Was Stella on the back of the bus with Rosa? She was sitting right next to her, letting Rosa understand, like, babe, I got you. We here together.
She looked over at Rosa and said, "Damn right, girlfriend." Yeah, she said, "Damn right, my nigga."
Yeah. Okay. Stella can say the N-word now. I mean, she's.
That's why she didn't take like to Pino over there saying stuff, because Stella's like, "You better stop talking about my niggas like that." Like,
exactly. Like, I'm one of them. Like, what we doing? What we doing?
Stella with one flip of the wrist could have started the Black Lives Matter movement, but she decided to hold on.
Not Stella looking at Pino and saying, "What the hell? What the hell?" Like,
but yeah, you know, good old Stella. I love the character Stella. She's definitely one of my favorites.
That's why we call her the Princess of Harlem at this point. We understand exactly who Stella Gigante is at this point. But next up, before we get into the Frank Lucas of it all, Next up, we get Elise as she sets up the Panthers to rob her father of dynamite. This is them coming up with a plan as exactly how would they attack a police car? How would they come up with a bomb to attack a police car? And Stella bringing up, like, we could rob my father. He has a multitude of dynamite and it won't be an issue. I think this is just her, not a lot to talk about here. I think this is just her trying to show the Panthers that she's all in for whatever they need her to do, including robbing her father if it takes that way.
Yeah, it's definitely a show of her saying that I'm about it, but also trying to show that she's resourceful. But I'm gonna tell you something that I learned at a young age. Now, because we've all done it, and make peace with your God. But we've all taken that dollar from out of their mom's purse. We've all got old enough and hit our parents' bar one time, and we thought, oh, they got so much, they won't notice it. Well, folks, I guarantee this will be a subject of conversation at some point.
At a later point, definitely.
Yeah, because she just thinks that, oh, no worries, he got so much of that, he won't notice it. But also, just think about it. People who make a lot of money and they think, oh, if I just skim a little bit off of it, they won't notice it. Or the drugs, you won't notice.
There you go.
So all the same thing, all these things are viable, especially the fact that Bumpy is trying to go legit as a person who isn't legit. An illegitimate person can go legit. So yeah, there will be something to make of that for sure.
I'm gonna just say this: I didn't take money from my mama. My mama didn't have a liquor cabinet, so I didn't take that. But I'll be damned if I didn't sneak as many of her oatmeal cream pies as possible. You know, black mama used to hide them chunks from everybody else. Oh man. Next up, we get Stella as she meets with Frank. And this is going to be a 3-pack of exactly scenes all involving Frank here. As Stella meets up with Frank to get protection for her drivers. That's the whole purpose of this. She unfortunately allows Frank to know the full plans of her and Bumpy here. And in the following scene, we get Frank, again, as you said, the power of the PUSSY, meeting with his girlfriend, allowing her to know all the plans, and then letting her know, my goal is to burn it all down. And then he goes to meet with Joe and lets Joe know all of Stella's plans as he tries to play both sides. What do you think here of the way Frank is moving here? We understand, like, one, no one can sustain moving this way where you're playing all corners against each other. But here you have a conversation with Stella, tell your girlfriend everything, and then run back and tell Joe everything Stella told you.
It's that broke person in your group chat, your friend circle that's making all the plans, but ain't got nothing to contribute to it. Frank is, swear to God, thinks that he gonna be the one that's going to out hustle, outwork, swindle 3 juggernauts, and he gonna somehow come out of this unscathed. Again, it just shows you just the immaturity of him in the business and whatnot. And it's not to say, we all know Frank's not going to die, but it's all to say that it just shows you that he feels by getting some legs thrown around his shoulder that, you know, he got this figured out, and he's a player in this. No, by no means. He's actually, I would say, the pawn in all of this, because he's disposable to everybody. So like, yeah, he's understand. He's starting to gather the information. He's not quite understanding just yet, but him thinking that he's going to be the one to get everybody to however bit of feels like he has leverage in this conversation, that he's somehow going to come out of this on a better side of things. Doubt it. Absolutely doubt it. I think short-term luck. Like, yeah, maybe next episode we see like, oh man, maybe this plan is kind of working for him for a short period of time.
Not Frank being a friend that plans the trip to the DR, but he has no money to contribute to the trip to the DR.
Or passport. Hey. Yeah, I'm gonna get that. Don't work, yo. I'm gonna be out there. I'm gonna get that. But
oh man, it's nothing worse than a nigga making plans without a passport. But next up, we get Mayme as she asks Bumpy to join her at the reading. The most important part here is we see all the pieces that have to move in place for Bumpy to accommodate Mayme here. As she said, as he says to Dale, as Dale comes to a completely different purpose. Hey, you and Nate handled that meeting. Have Junie come so we could take us to this meeting. Here is just nothing but a full setup to let you know exactly once these pieces are moved that something's going to happen. Unfortunately, you kind of read that the moment these moves was made that something was going to happen.
Yeah, that and also too just shows you that when the wife puts her foot down, all your plans are no longer in place.
Go out the window. Go completely out the window here. And next up, we get the reading with James. And this is one of the most powerful moments of the season of Godfather of Harlem. As he is going through this reading about the Black plight and what it means to be Black and what it means to be masculine in Harlem. And we equate that to exactly what's going on with the drop of the concrete and how everything is blowing up during the speech. All I'm going to ask you, just because this is a lot to dissect in this scene here. What did you think about the reading? What did you think about the way they correlated the reading to actually what was happening live action in another area because of the moves that Bumpy had to make for him and Mayme to go to this reading?
A lot, and I'm not going to allow you to comment on something I'm going to make because I know exactly what you're going to say and where it's going to go, and it just doesn't need to be said. We'll just leave it at that. So the Black experience is invaluable, yeah. I would say, but valuable to the white folks, which is why Black exploitation is something that has been a reoccurring thing for many, many generations, and we even see this in a speakeasy format that the white folks are like, wow. This is what it means to be Black, but still be white, but also Black, because I feel the rawness and how real it is. And everybody else is like, this is traumatic to us. And they're like, this is the best thing ever. I love it.
Hold up. Not to interrupt your thought here, but I mean, it's a museum in DC that white people use to do that. I'm just going to say.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Big Black museum in DC.
Because
the white people used to experience Black pain without giving up their privilege to do so.
Looking at the building, I feel empowered. It's rigged. Yeah, look, my internet trying to help you out. You can put yourself on mute so you don't have any comments here on this one. But to me, this is sort of how I feel. And this is a hot take. So I'm going to allow myself to say it. And then we'll just move on to what's happening with the show. This, to me, feels like how white people are loving the movie Sinners. Because it is the best Black thing that they've ever seen in their entire life. And wow, what does it mean to be like, I love it, even though I don't even know half of what's going on here, can relate or even understands the devils, the death, all the different things that is brought in this film. Ryan Coogler is my hero. In their circle, Ryan Coogler is my nigga. But they gotta love it, because this is what everybody's telling them to do. And that's where I felt the connection with this, is that they says, we know he's respected. He is world traveled. And we know everything he goes on to become in terms of being another powerful activist, author, speaker, in this not just in this era, but of this entire generation. So, of course, what would it mean for me to be a person that be like, I didn't understand that, or I didn't like that, or that kind of went over my head. I would be the odd person out. That means either one, I'm not a critic, or I'm not truly a book connoisseur. This is how I feel, because it's just, I would say, even for us, even hearing the speech, you just think like, oh, this seems cynical. But like, nah, this is us. I think if I saw a Black person went up there and did a poem and they said, I'm Black today, I'm Black tomorrow, and I'm Black for the next week, the next month, and for the rest of my life, and they ended it right there, we can sit down here and do a think piece of what that meant and why it was articulated in the way it was and what exactly is being portrayed in something that took 10 words. They're going to be like, that is a masterpiece. Wow. What if this was amazing? I love this. So like I do think that why Mayme and Bumpy, why they looked at it in a way of saying this is a tragedy, they expected greatness. As a matter of fact, Bumpy has so much respect for him in a way because he said, you done did these things, you done went around the world and blah blah blah. I can't believe you're coming back and you're pinning 2 black people personally. So I didn't expect that from you. But now I think it's a measure of saying like, I expect greatness from you. You're supposed to be doing your part in rebuilding the Harlem. I'm doing my part in doing it. So he's looking at it because he expected more. And obviously with his wife bolstering up the event for what it is, he was expecting more. But in actuality, it was what wanted to be done. They wanted a dancing monkey on the stage. So he went out there and showed his ass. And then they celebrated for it. So it's a super deep part of the episode here. But I really can't wait to see what happens beyond that. So that's my complete in-depth thought about what is the Black experience. Perfectly articulated by what's his name. So there's that.
About James.
You get no comments about sinners. You can talk anything else. No comments about sinners from you.
Hey,
but am I right though? Am I right though?
Here's the weird part. As I watched this scene and the correlation that they did, that somebody help me played in my head, and I'm like, oh my God, they don't see exactly what he's doing and a pandering that he's purposely doing, but he's trying to pander and be offensive at the same time.
Yeah.
And they are not picking up on it at all.
At all.
And again, it's because, the correlation between sinners, I'll leave that alone because I have my opinions about that. But to me, it's correlated to any Black film that amazingly takes off with a white audience without them fully understanding what they watched. Because it reminded me of Black Panther also, or anything of that nature. Oh my God, this is just so Black and so amazing. That's it, because you need they want the experience without the reality of what that experience brings. Or as Black people have been saying for years, they want our rhythm and not our blues. And that's what this is. And that's why I put in the episode, how many times do we have to get before Mayme fully understands that?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking here as we get to the end of the speech and her reaction to the speech versus the white reaction to the speech, that it would click to her like, oh, this is what you all want. Like, you want Black people to be in destitute and you want them to talk about it, but you don't want to experience any parts of it at all.
Yeah, it's I was gonna name drop, but if you know, but like it's why the certain dark corners of reality TV, the Housewives of Atlanta and all that other stuff, why it thrives is because it ain't just us watching it. And it ain't us greenlighting it on our own networks. So who do you think the true audience is in terms of, oh, I like that stuff. It is entertaining. While we're sitting around here looking real silly, but you also know that they're not also in it. Yes. Just to be very clear. And then even their versions of it that they try to diversify doesn't thrive like the Nene Leakes of the world, which is why they continuously come back. And or if they did leave, they made a lot of money and went on to other things, but they are constantly begged to be brought back. Yes. Wonder why? I wonder why.
Well, I mean, white people made Natalie Nunn a star because the Zeus Network was created for a reason, and it wasn't created for us. But again, Black debauchery needs to be shown to the world, and I think that's the message that this sends here, and that's the ongoing theme here of this art board, and that's why James is reacting the way he is. Yeah. We know James as the brilliant mastermind, poet, scholar, writer, speaker that he is. But here with Godfather of Harlem, we get to see the flip side of it, of him fully understanding that being Black and being Black to white people are two completely different things. And if you think I'm lying, just check out American Fiction and you'll fully understand exactly the way white people see certain things from Black people. The struggle is what they want to see. the accomplishment is not what they want to see. You
Or-
know, Steve,
or-
they
or-
don't ever want to talk about the positive things that Bumpy's doing. They never want to talk
No.
about anything else or the Panthers or anything moving positively towards Black people. They want to hear the struggle and how bad the struggle is. That's why the Jeffersons, Good Times, and all these shows were created, because it helps them understand exactly what that is, and they can watch it at 8 o'clock with the rest of their family before they go to bed in their $1 million houses. But also in this scene, we also get to see what happens or the consequences of this concrete drop here.
Mm-hmm.
And we get to see exactly Joe's plan to interrupt it, but we also get to see Frank Lucas's involvement in it up until the point of Dale getting kidnapped, which is very odd because they normally tend to kill everybody. But Dale getting kidnapped by Frank in the end, and then we get Nate as he rushes to inform Bumpy about what happened. What did you think about the shootout aspect of this scene and them kidnapping Dale and Nate going back to let Bumpy know everything that happened?
It was good to see Godfather of Harlem put together a scene like that. It's not what Godfather of Harlem is typically known for. It is of the likes of Power in the same genre. So it was cool to see that. But also, I mean, like, you know, Dale and Chance, first of all, edge of your seat action here is how I would describe this, because we love these characters and we know, and you felt it was sort of foreshadowed that Bumpy wasn't there, so the plan wasn't going to go as it wasn't going to go as set. What could go wrong? And these sort of scenes and how they're foreshadowed always ends up in a casualty of a character that we want. I think about Liliana in Power Book 4 Force, where you know, somebody who's a marksman, you know, she can handle her own, but because it didn't go the way it was supposed to, we lost one of our favorite characters. It just on and on and on. This continuously happens. So sort of a trope to build the action, the suspense, have you at the edge of your seat, wondering like, oh my god, are they going to make it out? Who's going to pop out of nowhere, et cetera, et cetera. So I thought this was a fantastic scene to really build up the drama, the suspense, and sort of the anticipation from the viewers of saying who's going to die, who won't make it, and would it be one of our favorite two characters that's been here this entire time? And I swear I watched this and I yelled out, if you kill one of them, I won't be back next week. You better not do it. And then when you saw Frank walk up on him, I'm like, oh no. But yes, to your point, I can't believe he didn't take the shot, because
it makes no sense.
Why wouldn't he? And I don't think there's going to be a understanding to that next week. I don't think it's going to be like I didn't do it because I knew da 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 da. I just think he just didn't do it because Joe wouldn't have told him not to do it. You know, what does it matter? Then you do it. I have the opportunity to do it. Then you do it. You know. So yeah, but I was definitely a little worried for my guy.
It leaves a thought of exactly what was the instructions from Joe. Yeah. Because the instructions was to take them all out. There's no way in hell you're going to show up with a person to Joe. So then what was the instructions that you had to lead to Joe? What is that whole scene left me with wondering, what is the message that Joe is trying to send?
Yeah.
And how important is that message to him?
Yeah.
Because we understand already from Joe is that he gives exact directions on what he wants.
Yeah.
He does not leave wiggle room. So I don't think he would have left wiggle room of saying, well, just bring him to me or kill him. I'm going to leave it up to you. No, it had to be, you do this because I need this to happen here. So I'm really worried about, and I was like you too, because I'm like, dog, if you better not kill neither one of them two. Like they better find miraculously a way to get out of this. One way or the other, they got to get out of this.
Yeah, and Pettigrew and Chance, man, are the dynamic duo that a lot of you all still may be discovering, but they've had so many good moments, so much good banter, and to actually see them get in a gunfight together and see how they sort of orchestrate it and have each other's back, the call outs they do and that's again, Chance is ex-military, so like
Exactly.
You expect him to be a good shot. Which is to me, let me just tell you what I think really quickly. Him being taken back and whether he's held hostage or some measure of negotiation here, that's a 10 toes down dude, 100%. So you ain't got to worry about whatever they're going to try because my guy's going to hold it down. Now, the other half of this is that Bumpy, that's his guy. So my man is going to probably do whatever he got to do to get him back. Does he go to war?
Definitely.
Does he have to back up the Brinks truck? Does he have to get one of his other guys to one of Joe's guys to hold his collateral? All that to say, what I said earlier, there's two sides to this, and there's a goal to be accomplished here, and one for Bumpy is going to 100% be get Chance back. Joe's going to probably want some stake in the business or want to make sure that he goes back with him as his truck supplier. He's going to throw a tariff on him, whatever's going to be. Bumpy's going to pay that out. It's not a big deal. He's going to pay that out. He's done things like this in the past. He'll pay it out. He doesn't care. Frank in the middle, if he thinks this is somehow, some way good, that's
the problem.
Orchestrated getting Bumpy's right-hand man kidnapped and used, it's not good for your boy. It's not good for your boy. Then you think Joe said told you to put bodies down and you didn't. You brought this back. Yeah, there may be benefit, but this is not what I asked. It's not going to be good. At least this is where I think this is not going to be good, which is why I said in the very beginning, how the hell does Frank become the number 2 in Bumpy's organization, the one that basically takes his seat at some point? I don't know how we get there, but damn, I'm excited to see it. Damn.
So I'm going to ask you the question that everybody's wondering. What do you feel the fate of Dale will be in the next episode?
I stand to it. I think Bumpy's going to do whatever he can to get him back. Because I think by how television is done, you would have killed him at the end of this episode. I don't think you open up an episode with having somebody used as a hostage and you kill him. I just don't see that. And that would be ballsy as hell if they did do some shit like that. God, I would be so mad. I'd be so mad. But yeah, I think, whatever they're going to try to do to Chance, it ain't rocking. My guy's 10 toes down. He will remain loyal to the very end. And he's military trained, so you're not gonna do nothing to intimidate him. He could take a beating, he could take a few gunshots, you can sandbag him, whatever you want to not waterboard him. Whatever it is, he not worried about none of that. He's down. But I will tell you what I do think is interesting is Pettigrew. What does he do without his boy? And I guess funny because Pettigrew had a plan earlier in this episode and Chance shot it down, which was comedic in a way. But I mean, that's like his big brother, I would almost say. Like he respects him and he's if he makes the better call, he's gonna go with it. But without his boy, I think Pettigrew is lost at sea. It may be the first time we've ever seen him without him. So I don't know how he responds. Does he become unhinged? Or does he sort of retreat in a way where he just doesn't know what to do without him? Because when we saw him panic going back to Bumpy, which was a way that was sort of, it was abruptly. It wasn't. I think in any other moment he would have just waited for his chance. But he said, "Forget all whatever this political bullshit you got going on here.
Yeah,
our guy has been taken. We gotta make something happen.
We got to go. Yeah,
we got to go. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what his response is going to be in this as well too. But yeah, Chance, nah, man, there's no way. And you know why? Because the actor Eric has been here this entire time. You ain't gonna do him wrong like that. They on MGM Plus now. They made it out of the epic days. They're on Prime Video. You want my man to rock out as long as you can on the show, because for the Lucy Fries, for the Forrest Whitakers, and the Michael Raymond James, these names that's on the show, the Whoopi Goldbergs, you know, you're not going to take the people that's been putting in the hard work each and every day and think they're dispendable in terms of the cast. They got to be here. I'd be so pissed if they go. I don't care about none of the violence and people need to die off and storylines, da da da. No. And Bumpy, let's not forget, Bumpy still got to have a heart attack. Bumpy still has to have a heart attack at some point, and we got to see how all the people around him and how that's going to play out.
Not the heart attack. No. The heart attack happens, 2 years before he passes? I want to say the way history is it with Bumpy. But that's beyond the point to me. I believe it's set up for Dale to die. And it's because of what we've seen from Bumpy so far this season. So I think the goal normally is to inform the audience, like, hey, something could happen to this person. We've constantly seen Bumpy saying, I'm not budging. I'm not making a deal for nothing. Last episode, Bumpy said it's more important that this is Black owned than anything else. Yeah. That we only use Black people, and whatever we have to lose, that'll be fine. What happened if Dale is that thing for him to have to lose?
I hate it. I'm out. I'm out.
But again, audience, let us know, because this is something we'll definitely be on pins and needles until next episode. Exactly what did it mean of what Frank did? Did Frank go against Joe with this action, or this is something that Joe wanted? But again, tune in next week. Let us know what you think about episode 5 of Godfather of Harlem. Are we going to see a conclusion that makes everyone happy with Dale, or are we going to lose Dale? What do you think about James Baldwin and his speech? Did you see power in his speech, or did you understand or see the rhetoric that he was saying to the white people to appease them and also disrespect them at the exact same time? What do you think about Stella moving forward here? At this point, we fully understand that now Frank has gone against her again. Will this lead Stella to becoming her dad? And finally, what do you think about Elise with the Panthers here, as she put a plan in place for them to steal from her father to accomplish a goal? And will this backfire on Elise? But again, you can comment, subscribe, like. Let us know what you think about this episode. Let us know what are you looking forward to in the next episode of Godfather Harlem. Catch us here. Go ahead.
You're gonna have these people writing dissertations with your questions.
That's 10 questions for them. That's the goal. That's the goal.
Homework for them.
I want somebody in that show write me a soliloquy.
You ain't gonna respond. Hey, real quick before we leave out though, because the trailer just dropped, the Spike Lee new movie. Because I cannot pronounce her name.
Ice Spice.
Mayme. She will be starring in that. So you'd like to always see characters and actors in other mediums. She will be on that. So that's highest to lowest Spike Lee's new film coming out sometime this year. Trailer drop, but yeah, she maybe
was talking about ASAP or Ice Spice, because both of them are in this also.
Definitely will not be looking forward to seeing an Ice Spice on anything. But ASAP's cool. I like ASAP in Dope, one of my favorite films. And then you do have my guy Jeffrey Wright and Denzel Washington, and then
you can never go wrong with Jeffrey Wright in anything
at all. One of this generation's best talents. Definitely much love, but I still think underappreciated at times. So yeah, but I can't pronounce her name, and I want to say her name is Fisha. I don't know. Let's just leave it alone.
It's hard to pronounce. I mean, we're gonna talk about things. We might as well also talk about the creators of Godfather Harlem did a very interesting interview about what they perceive as the future of this show, and them wanting to branch off into Frank Lucas's story next. So that's also something to bring up. That's very, very interesting to pay attention to. Again, let us know your thoughts about that too, because that's a very interesting thing that they dropped this week to let you know this is something that they are looking into for future seasons of Godfather Harlem, and it doesn't, and that the show does not have to end with Bumpy Johnson.
Correct. It's Elfinish Hadera. I just had to get the pronunciation. So yeah, make sure we get it right. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Great news on that note. Great news. Yeah.
But again, let us know everything about this episode. You can catch us again right after the episode drops. Come here, have a conversation in there, as long as the conversation is something that we can talk about, because that's what some of y'all be talking to yourselves. And I'd be like, I don't know how to interject myself into this if you're talking to yourself and you give your own point of view and everything, and then you close it off. But again, if you want a conversation, we'll be down there to have it with y'all about this week's episode. This has been another Big Old Belt review recap of the hit MGM Plus show, Godfather of Harlem. Peace, people.
Ridiculous.